Hello and welcome to BODHI Yoga Online. I'm Krista Cahill and Chris will be demonstrating the asanas for me today. We are going to do a 90 minutes flow, and at the end you will see an icon for Venmo, and we would really appreciate it if you could contribute a donation to our efforts so that we can maintain this for who knows how long. So without further ado, I invite you to come to your yoga mat, comfortable position to sit. Please feel free to elevate your pelvis if you find that to be more comfortable. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms. You can find a nice, comfortable position. When you do feel ready, close your eyes and begin to look. See what your body has presented this morning. Taking a moment to just be grateful to have a practice of healing and wellness. Take a very long inhale. Open your mouth, let out a sigh. 2 more like this, inhaling. Sighing it out all the way. And 1 more time, think of sideways expansion through the ribs as you're inhaling. Add a little more if you can so you feel super full. And then just let it go. Lift your hands to your heart, Anjali Mudra. A gesture of giving your time and your attention to yourself, to your practice. Bringing your chin parallel, opening your eyes and releasing your hands down. So if you are elevated on something, I'm going to recommend that you come off your elevation for the next exercise and just get to a place where you can comfortably open your arms parallel without any obstruction. So on an inhale, lift your arms and take a few breaths. So with each inhale, try to experience the sides of your lowest ribs moving sideways. So this will begin you on the journey to diaphragmatic breathing. And as the diaphragm moves sideways and eventually it will engage and move downwards towards your pelvis, the spine will start to release upwards through the shoulders, beyond the neck, pushing the crown of the head up. And last 2 breaths here. See how much elongation through the sides of the body you can maintain. And on the exhale, reach out with your right arm as far as you can, and you're going to set your right fingers down on the yoga mat or the ground. Rotate your left arm in an external rotation, and with a big, giant circular motion, lift your left arm up next to your ear. And you can play with the direction of the stretch a little bit. If you feel good as you are, stay. If you want to crawl the right hand a little more to the right, you're welcome to do that. Maintain the left hip rooting down. And exactly the way that you will do in triangle pose, you're trying to push the breath into the left side of the waist. So that area between the bottom ribs and the left hip becomes full of energy rather than a concave place. And on the opposite right side, your lower obliques, just above the outer right hip, are going to contract and create that movement of energy towards the left. Last breath here. On an inhale, come up with both arms into the vertical position and external rotation. So the outside of your upper arms, the triceps, are firming in. Go a little bit higher. And now release your arms down. And then you're going to change the cross of your legs. Bring your other shin bone in the front. When you feel ready, lift and elongate your arms out to the sides. Taking a few moments to imagine the weight of your pelvis releasing downwards. And in an opposite elongation of the spine, you're growing tall through that space between your inner shoulder blades. That's it. Last 2 breaths. So make an effort to elongate and lift the sides of the body, sides of the waist. Doing your best to keep the right hip grounded. Extend out towards the left side. When you feel ready, you can place your fingertips on the earth. Rotate the right arm, shoulder externally, and reach all the way overhead. So we are just very gently stretching the right side of the waist, and on the opposite left side, it's a contraction, an engagement. The more you can push your inhales, your breath, your diaphragm towards that lower right rib, the more the left obliques will engage. You can walk the hand a little further. These last few breaths, it's up to you. And with your next inhale, lift both arms into the vertical position. Maintain, if possible, external rotation so the outsides of the upper arms are firming towards the tip of the nose. Take another breath. See if your spine can lift up a little more. And keeping all that length in the spine, release your 2 arms down. Extend the legs out in front. And then when you're ready, come to child's pose. Feel free to place something behind your knees if your knees are feeling a little bit sore or fragile today. And just bring your arms into a comfortable position. So the shoulders will relax down upon your knees. Forehead either to the floor or use some elevation if necessary. And now you can really focus on breathing into the 2 sides of your waist evenly. So you feel both the right and the left side of the waist moving out laterally. Take one more breath here. Now you're going to reach the arms forward and we're going to come up onto the hands and knees. Today we will do a little variation with the toes in the tucked position. So see if you can get even that little pesky baby toe to behave itself. And once you have the toes evenly spread on the ground, you're going to place your hands in a way that supports the shape of your arms and shoulders. Feel that gentle little lifting action of the inner wrists and the gentle squeezing action of your outer forearms. And on an inhale, you're going to allow the gaze to float up and you're going to create an arch shape in your spine. And as you exhale, starting with the sacrum, beginning to make that rounded shape. As you inhale, creating a little arch shape, using your breath to guide you. On the exhalation, beginning at the sacrum, then the lumbar, then the T-spine, you round. And continue like this, 2 more. Inhale. Beginning at the sacrum, exhale, rounded shape. Inhale. Exhale, rounded shape. Now the next time we're going to take a normal position for the cow, so a normal arch shape as you inhale. And as you exhale, you're going to lift your knees ever so slightly as you create the rounded shape. Setting the knees down very delicately as you inhale for the arched shape. And then as you exhale in the rounded shape, the sacrum turning helps the knees to lift ever so slightly. 3 more like this. Inhale, delicately place the knees. Exhale as you elevate the knees, press into your toes. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale, draw the energy up through the lower abdomen. Last time, gently the knees touch as you inhale. Exhale, you create a little floating sensation. Now hold here, take an inhale in this rounded shape. Now bring your hips back over your heels, and as you exhale, downward facing dog. And you can very, very acceptably keep the knees bent. Try just being very gentle and straightening one leg and explore how that feels in your body. Never forcing, and then you can change it around. Explore the opposite leg. You can go back and forth a few times, so it always feels good to take time and not to rush when you're connecting to your body, especially if you're practicing in the morning. Waking the cellular tissues up. And then when you feel ready to come for a few moments of stillness in down dog, observe your toes and spread your toes apart. Make the soles of your feet longer, the heels and toes in opposite directions. Last 2 breaths. And now you're going to lift your gaze way up. Continue moving your hips back as you do that. Bend your knees and just walk your feet to your hands. Elongate fully. Chris, show the variation with the hands on the tibia. So if you have any hamstring tightness that prevents you from reaching the floor, place your hands on your tibia instead. Okay? Otherwise, you can bring your hands to the floor, but the objective is to create the maximum elongation in the sides of the torso possible. Take another inhale. If you need to, you can bend the knees a little bit and really stretch through the crown. And on the exhale, bring the abdomen down onto your thighs, the chest down towards your knees. Let your elbows bend so they frame the outsides of your calf muscles. Yeah, you can bring your hands by your feet. Yeah. And just give your body a few moments to traction and release the spine. Last 2 breaths. And then lift your hands to the sides of your hips. Practice keeping your elbows in parallel. And by engaging the spine, you're going to inhale all the way to the vertical position, pressing your feet. And when you're ready on the exhalation, you're welcome to keep your feet separated or to bring your feet together. Tadasana. Samastitihi. Once again, drop your awareness into your feet. Spread your toes apart. Draw energy from the heels releasing down up the back of your thighs, up the sides, inner and outer thighs, and up the front of your legs. So you feel an upright quality in your leg bones. Use that to propel the front of the spine upwards towards the crown of the head. Last 2 breaths here. Tadasana. Now rotate the arms externally so you feel the shoulders, the outer shoulders engaged. And with an inhale, circle the arms as wide as you can and overhead. Urdhva Hastasana. Open the arms equally as wide as you fold, abdomen to thighs, chest on knees. Eventually let the head relax completely down. On your next inhale, either hands to the floor or to your tibia, elongate, come halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. And now, keeping your hands on the floor, use fingertips or hands flat, step your left foot back. And make sure your hands are flat as you step fully into plank position. The modification of plank, Chris will show, is with the knees on the ground. Okay? The body stays in this inclined position. Okay? With this, you should be able to stay for a few breaths. Okay? Otherwise, if it's possible with straight legs, last two, keeping the forearms hugging in, downward facing dog, create as much height as you elevate the pelvis as possible. Resisting your hips and heels back, look forward, again, float plank pose. Knees up or down, and as you exhale, you're gonna lower with control, gently bringing the shoulders away from the ears as you arrive on the mat. Point the toes, cobra, bhujangasana. As you inhale, come up just until the lower ribs are lifting, and then as you exhale, release your forehead down. This is a modification. On the inhale, you're gonna press onto your hands and knees, curl the toes under, and press as if you're going into child's pose and lift your knees to down dog. So that's a wonderful alternative to the more fast-paced vinyasa that we are accustomed to. We're going to now show an example of the full vinyasa, but feel free to skip it if you need to. Inhale as you shift forward, come into plank. You're going to hover in chaturanga as you exhale. Again, feel free to use the knees if necessary. Upward facing dog, or you maintain with cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. We're just gonna take one breath here. Give the lumbar an opportunity to stretch in two directions as you look forward. Exhale, bend the knees, and you're welcome to walk or jump your feet to the front of the mat, finding elongation. Exhale, descend all the breath out. Open the arms, and as you inhale, rise to the vertical position. Arms at the side, Samastitihi, exhalation. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, Surya Namaskara. Exhale, arms down, Uttanasana. Inhale, elongate Ardha. Exhale, march or jump back, chaturanga, or you use the modifications. Cobra or upward facing dog on the inhalation, lifting sideways. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Traditionally, 5 breaths. So with each inhale, the trajectory of the pelvis is up and back. 2. You're just trying to maintain that lift of the hips as you exhale. 3, 4. End of this exhale, bend the knees, hips push back, and 5. Inhale, you march or jump, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, descend on Uttanasana. Bring the arms out and inhaling all the way up. Tadasana, exhale, Samastitihi. Inhale, Urdhva Hasta. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha. Chaturanga or modification as you exhale, transition all the way. Inhale, cobra or Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Again, you adjust your foundation and breathe. 5 slow breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. End of this exhale, bend the knees, hips draw back, and on the inhale, travel, march, step or jump, Ardha. Exhale, full Uttanasana. Inhale all the way, Urdhva Hasta. Exhale, arms down, Samastiti. Last time, Ekam, inhale. Dve, exhale. Treni, inhale. Chatvare, exhale, jump or march. Pancha, inhale, back bending. Shat, exhale, neutral spine, elongation here. 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, last inhale. Finish the exhale as you bend your knees, shift the gaze. Inhale, transition, march or jump, Sapta. Exhale, Ashtal, descend. Nava, inhale, vertical, look up. Samastitihi, Tadasana, exhale. Okay, we're gonna take a moment to challenge our balance in tree pose, Vrikshasana. When you're ready, bring your right toes as high as you can on your inner left thigh, and then deposit the heels second. And observe, if you can, create a sense of the right knee releasing with gravity down towards the left foot. Okay. In an opposite direction, the right side of your waist, the right spine begins to climb up, and then if you prefer, you can keep the hands at your heart, or feel free to take the arms all the way out and up over your head. Even more challenge here is to shift the gaze and look up. And really imagine that 2 directions of movement, the right hip releasing down as the right lumbar spine elongates, climbing upwards. Last breath. See if you can get a little bit more lift. Keep all this lift and lower your arms on the exhalation. Lower your right foot when you're ready. And we're going to change sides. So prepare your left leg, bringing your left toes as high as you can, and then depositing the heels second. Bring your awareness to the right side of your pelvis. So the weight of gravity pulling that hip down and allowing the left side of the spine to elongate and climb up. Now you can feel free to add the arms whenever you're ready. Breathe right where those lower back ribs come in contact with your lumbar spine. So you bring the kidneys upwards out of the lumbar towards your arms. Last 2. Grow a little taller. Keeping all of this height, lower just the arms on the exhalation. Release your left foot and stand once again in Tadasana Samastitihi. Equal standing. Equal breath, the 2 sides of your mind working harmoniously, the 2 lungs. And release your arms down at your sides. So we're going to take an inhale, reaching both arms as much as you can overhead. Stretch up, and then open the arms even wider as you exhale, fold all the way down towards the earth. Next time you inhale, look up. Exhale, march or jump back, Chaturanga. Cobra or Urdhva Mukha, inhale. And exhale, Adho Mukha. So we're going to take a little variation, lifting up the right leg. Okay, look forward. And now bring the right knee all the way up to touch your chest. Step the right foot between your hands. And now you're going to turn your back heel, and it doesn't have to be heel to heel. It can be a little wider than heel to heel, but the back foot somewhere around 45 degrees. Okay, and stay here either on your fingertips or you can slide some blocks under your hands. And I want you to bring your awareness back into your back foot. Press the 4 corners of the foot as much as you can, straight down, rooting into the earth. Maintaining the same rotation of your leg. See if it's possible for the hip to become independently mobilized to move around towards the front right heel. Last 3. It won't happen perfectly for everyone. Do your best. 2, and 1. Turn onto your back toes, and now lower your back knee down, release the toes into a point position, and take the arms up over your head. Similar with what you experienced in tree pose, the right hip, sometimes it likes to be sneaky and lift up a little bit, crowding and shortening the right side of the waist. So if you could imagine where the lumbar meets the right pelvis, you can start to feel a downward tractioning of the hip and an upward movement of those right kidney ribs. Last 2 breaths. Just looking for space here in the lumbar. Last inhale, go up. And as you exhale, release both hands down. Okay, make your way into a plank position with an inhalation. Draw the sides of your forearms in as you go to down dog on the exhalation. Okay, let's lift the left leg on an inhale. Look up. And now bring your left knee to touch your chest. Place the foot all the way between your hands. And now organize your feet the way you did before. It may not be heel to heel. That's okay. One day it may evolve to that. One day it may not. And this is part of accepting where we are. The foundation of the back foot is what I want you to concentrate on, pressing equally into the 4 corners of the foot, maintaining stability in the knee joint in the leg, and finding an independent mobility of the right hip, moving around towards the front left heel. And at the same time as that's happening, you can feel that the left side of the waist will start to get a little longer, a little more even to the right side. Last 2. And now on an exhalation, place your hands flat. Okay, turn onto your back toes, lower the knee, come into a point position, and inhale, both arms up. So if you were looking head on in a mirror, the front leg side of the waist has this tendency with all of us to be shorter than the back leg side. But we want our best effort to create equanimity. With your mind and your total attention, releasing the left hip down and making an effort with your breath to go back and up with your left kidneys. Last 2. How fluffy can you make the lumbar lift it up? Last breath in. And on the exhale, release both hands down. The inhale is where you find a plank position. Drawing the forearms in as you exhale to downward facing dog. Now do your best to keep the sides of the forearms drawing in as you come back into plank. Lift your gaze, move forward, and really mindfully lower all the way to the ground, the shoulder blades gently away from the ears. Okay. Now, you're going to take your hands all the way out in front of you with your arms straight. And reach your legs back. So start with one leg, lift and stretch back. Yes, and then the other. And ideally, you're going to make them feel even again. Okay. So now, press into your 2 hands and begin to lift the inner shoulders and that place where your armpit meets your chest and your head up. So it is a variation on Cobra where the arms are lifting and straight, and there's a slight downward and backward action with the hands. So you're pushing the hands down and pulling slightly back. And in my body, what I'm hoping to achieve through this is to feel the bottom of my front rib cage drawing back, magnetizing to the frontal hip bones. The frontal hip bones coming forward, magnetizing to my bottom ribs. As the underside of the belly starts to lift up, you're going to see that the kidney, lumbar, and waist starts to move towards the ceiling and towards the arms, helping the spine to elongate. Last breath in. Engage the spine as much as you can. And then let it go. Release your head down. Bring your hands back by your chest. I want to offer you a variation on the knees for those of you who need it. Otherwise, you're going to come into plank. So tuck toes, starting with the sacrum. So I know if you have strong shoulders, you can lift your shoulders first. Try to lift the sacrum and then the rest of the body in one unit all the way up. Plank pose, very nicely done. Adho Mukha, forearms in, wrists lifting as you stretch back. We're not going to linger here for too long, so continue moving the hips back, look forward. When you finish the exhale, bend your knees and inhale, march, step, or jump, feet to hands. Elongate fully, inhale, and then exhale, release all the way. Now we're going to do chair pose, so move the hips back and down, arms up into the vertical position, one breath. Stand as you exhale, release the arms, samastitihi. Bend the knees, inhale, Utkatasana, chair. Hands meet the floor as you exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale for Ardha Uttanasana, and march or jump to Chaturanga Dandasana, exhalation. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha or Cobra. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's take the leg lifting variation. Inhale, right leg lifts up. Look forward as you exhale, bring the knee towards your chest, and place your foot between your hands. Turn the back foot as we did before. Okay. Stabilize the back leg, and when you're ready, take the arms out and all the way up, bringing your spine vertical, Virabhadrasana, the warrior pose. One breath, we're just going to straighten the front leg for a single inhale. See if you can use that to lift the front of the pelvis towards those bottom front ribs a little more. Keep that as you bend the knee on the exhalation. Concentrate on breathing back into your kidney ribs and feeling those little ribs lift and help you access a height in the lumbar that frees your right side from compression. Take another big breath in if you can bend another centimeter, and then exhale both hands down. The inhale brings you into plank position. Take an exhale to lower Chaturanga with control. Upward dog, inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Downward dog, exhale, Adho Mukha. So we're taking a few extra breaths, lifting the left leg up, look forward. Exhale the knee to the chest and step your foot. Organize your feet, turn the back heel, stable back foot before you come up all the way, both arms and the spine vertical. One breath, we're straightening the front leg. So it's similar to what we experienced on the belly, right? Where, yes, exactly. The feeling is the front ribs and hip bones are attracted to each other. Keep that as you bend the knee. So this is where the resistance, the challenge starts to be obvious. And the back of your rib cage, this is the most important part, is lifting up and pushing the arms higher. Last breath, if you can bend one more centimeter, and then release both hands as you exhale. The inhale is where you observe plank. Exhale, controlled descent, Chaturanga. Urdhva Mukha or Cobra, inhale. Adho Mukha Svanasana, exhale. Taking a few moments here, breathe. Try your very best to continue moving the sides of the hips back as you look forward. So again, you're going in two directions energetically. Bend your knees and march or jump as you inhale. Top of the mat is your extension. Exhale, crown of the head straight down. Chair pose, bend the knees. Utkatasana. Samastitihi Tadasana. Exhale. Utkatasana, inhale, chair pose. Uttanasana, exhalation. Ardha, inhale. Either you jump or step as you exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha or Cobra. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Without lifting the leg, just step, place your right foot forward, turn your left heel. Inhale, one breath all the way up. Exhale, hands down for Chaturanga. You can always skip and go directly to down dog. Cobra or Urdhva Mukha, inhale. Exhale, Adho Mukha. When you're ready, place the left foot forward between your hands. Turn your right heel, Virabhadrasana, inhale. Exhale, the hands release down to the yoga mat. Step back, down dog or chaturanga, your choice. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha or cobra. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take a few moments, breathe here. Feeling your hips draw back as you look forward, bend your knees, march or jump. Exhale all that length down, Uttanasana. And sit deep into Utkatasana, chair pose. Stand up, and as you exhale, arms release down, Tadasana, Samastitihi. If you have the capacity to close your eyes, close your eyes. Feel the experience of the practice so far. Two shoulders relaxed, jaw unclenched. Relaxing the frontal lobe so we don't have to analyze or think critically, but this is truly a practice of feeling what your body needs. Utkatasana, chair pose. As you inhale, sit down, arms equally reach up. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward bend, releasing the neck. Inhale, Ardha, halfway. Exhale, march back into plank position. Good. Take an inhale, draw the forearms in. And as you exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, lift your right leg up. This time we're going to open the hips so you can stack the pelvis, bend the knee, and give your quadricep a little stretch. And see if there is a potential on the left side to move the outer top left thigh back a little bit, to give the waist some equanimity. And we're going to go directly to the left side. So when you're ready, release your right foot down. The left leg comes up. You can stack, open the pelvis, bend the knee, and feel the contrast in the stretch. So at the top of the outer right thigh, there's a bony protrusion called the greater trochanter. See if you can imagine that moving away from the front of the mat towards the outer left back corner of your mat. Last two. And release both feet into downward facing dog. Okay, on your inhale, keeping the hips trajectory back as you look forward, come into plank. Exhale, lower. If you can, pause at chaturanga and then continue all the way completely down onto the yoga mat. Good, okay. So we're going to move back just a little bit to enable the elbows to have some room. And the elbows are going to come forward into Sphinx position. Same thing. So just preparing. So this is a great exercise to teach the vertebra to remain spacious. So the muscles that do that are the multifidus muscles. And how they receive the feedback to engage is this action of the forearms and hands pressing down and kind of slightly pulling against the sticky mat. The message your body needs to receive is that the frontal bottom ribs are drawn and magnetized to the hip bones. The hip bones are drawn and magnetized to the ribs. And while you're maintaining that, then you ask your spinal cord to engage, moving the ears straight back. So that doesn't mean lift your chin up. It means literally press the center of your skull straight back until the ears become aligned with your shoulders. Last two. So there's a great effort. It's more than meets the eye. Last breath in. And now as you exhale, you're going to keep all of this same work, just curl the toes under. Feel free to use the knees if it's too much. And try to come up now onto your elbows in plank position. And feel, again, the same work of the bottom front ribs moving straight back to meet your frontal hip bones. The frontal hip bones forward to meet your bottom ribs. At the same time, it's not a rounded shape in the back, but it is a feeling of the spine engaging and lifting up towards the back body. Last 2. And now for a breath, dolphin pose. Look towards your feet. Walk your feet towards your hands. You could put a little tiny bend in the knees. Emphasize the hips moving back. Last breath in. And child's pose just for a moment. Point your toes. Relax your hips onto your heels. Just let the heat of that pose subside a bit. Concentrate on moving the muscles around the sides of your waist as you inhale, opening laterally. And when you're ready, you're going to come up to a tabletop position, coming onto the hands and knees. Okay, so now we're going to try elevating the right leg parallel to the earth. There you go. Now, the knee is bent, and it's about as high as the height of your hip. So now, on the exhalation, you're going to try to actually shorten the right side of the waist, bringing your right knee and your right shoulder in a C shape towards each other. And then as you inhale, you're going to straighten your spine and extend the leg behind you. As you exhale, lift, bend the knee, and touch towards your right shoulder. You're creating a C shape in the spine. And then inhale, extend it back. 2 more times. As you exhale, create a C shape, engaging the right obliques. Good. Inhale. Last one. Exhale, create that C shape, and inhale, and release. Okay, we're going to do the other side. So the left knee is going to come up parallel to the hip. Okay, and now consciously engaging the left side waist, bringing the knee and left shoulder together, and then inhale, extending. Exhale, the knee and shoulder together. 3 more times. Inhale. 2 more times. Exhale, knee and shoulder together. Go back, inhale, last time. Exhale, C shape, knee and shoulder together. And inhale all the way back. And release your knee down. Very good. Now, from here, you're going to come into plank position. Oh boy. So you can feel free to do it on the knees if you need to. As you exhale, lift your right knee and bring it all the way towards your right shoulder, creating that C shape. And now you're going to hold in this position. So try to actually shorten the right side of your waist. Bring your knee towards your shoulder if you can. There you go. And create a 3 breath hold. 2. Now 3-legged dog. Keep the forearms hugging in as you release the right leg up and back. You can open the hip like we did before. Bend the knee, give it a little stretch out. Good. Just a little bit back there. Good. And now look up. And you're going to actually place your right foot outside your right hand. It may not land on the mat. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Okay. And now your feet are a little bit wider. And we're going to take a variation here. So you're going to lift up your right toes. And you're going to turn your right foot towards the right side. And now you're going to turn your back left heel like you would for Vashisthasana. And when you're ready, we're going to create a twist here. So objective is to get the hips as high as possible. Yeah, so use both feet and then take the right arm up when you're ready. Yes. You're going to experience a little bit of a hip stretch. And again, this sense of not letting the right waist look indented. We want to take the indentation out, not by lifting the ribs, but by lifting those muscles way down. 2 more. Last breath in. And now you're going to bring your right hand down, come onto your left toes, and now you're going to walk your hands towards the left edge of the mat, turning your feet parallel. So Chris is going to have his tuchus towards you. Okay. Inhale, elongate, so you're coming halfway up. And then on the exhalation, fold Prasarita Padottanasana A position. So the hands are mimicking Chaturanga here in this shape. The inner heels press down, otherwise you might get what's called a puffy ankle on the outside. So the outer ankles are firming because of the weight you've placed on the inner heels and big toes. Last 2. Last 1. Now, press into your hands, walk the hands forward a little bit, especially if you have wrist issues. Look up, inhale, elongate. Take your hands to your hips. Practice keeping the elbows in as you exhale. Inhale, use the spine to come to the vertical position. So the feet are pretty wide here. We're going to keep this wide stance, and you're just going to turn the left toes in a little bit towards the front of the mat, maybe 15 degrees. There you go. Turn the entire right leg open. Okay. Open up the arms when you're ready, so the arms are exactly parallel to the earth. Exactly, good. So what we are going to try to avoid is, for most of us, what happens is we lift the arms up. We're going to take the waist forward on the right side. So we don't want to do that. We actually want to do our best to keep the right side of the waist, the obliques, contained. And this is going to mean that your pelvis stretches your back thigh in a different way. So on the exhale, warrior two, you're going to bend the front knee, and without letting that right hip drop down. Very good. The whole concept is a hip opening posture. So the more you can feel this right hip release down, the more the right lumbar and waist will be able to lift and create space going up. Last 2 breaths. Take another big inhale. On the exhale, cartwheel your hands to the floor. Step as you inhale, find a plank position, drawing your forearms in, downward facing dog as you exhale. Inhale when you're ready, come into plank. Controlled chaturanga or to the floor. Cobra or Urdhva Mukha, inhale. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, starting in plank again. On the inhale, bring the shoulders a little bit behind the wrists. Lift your left knee up and bring your knee towards your left shoulder, creating a C shape in your spine. So engage the left obliques as much as you can for 3, for 2, 3-legged dog. Draw the forearms in, reach, open the hip, bend the knees, stretch it out a little bit. Yeah, so it feels good. Look up. Place your left foot outside the pinky of the left hand. Okay, now you're going to turn both feet. So the left toes turn left, the right toes turn left, and the heel of the right foot duplicates the Vashisthasana stance. Okay, and when you're ready, get the hips up as high as you can. Add the left arm when you feel it's appropriate. Good job. When the bottom waist has that engaged feeling, the top waist will not look lower than the rib cage, and vice versa. The rib cage and the waist are equal exactly. Last 2. One more big stretch. And as you exhale, release your left hand down. Roll onto your right toes. Walk your hands towards the right, turning feet parallel. Ground the inner corners of your feet. Look up as you inhale. And now you're going to reach out and hold your big toes, Prasarita Padottanasana D position. Bend the knees if it's necessary, and on the exhalation, elbows wide, head and spine releasing towards the earth. So gravity is your best friend in this moment. Each vertebra, all the way to the vertebra between your ears, is being pulled and traction down. The discs having an opportunity to regain their original fluffiness. Last 2. Look up, arms straight. This is an inhale. On the exhale, bring your hands to your pelvis. Practice keeping the elbows parallel. And inhale, come all the way up, vertical position. When you're ready, the right toes turn at 15 degrees towards the front of the mat. The left leg rotates open 90 degrees. Good. Open the arms parallel. Okay, and create a nice feeling of the pelvis being upright. So once again, we'll show. A lot of times what happens is the front waist, in this case the left waist, will decontract and open, and you're going to see that there's a collapsed feeling in the front hip. But what we want is for this oblique on the front leg side of the waist to engage so much that it keeps the hips parallel, equidistant to the floor. And on an exhalation, nothing changes in the hips. You just start to bend the left knee and you experience and observe how the legs have to stretch when the pelvis isn't moving in every plane and direction. Okay. The objective in your mind when you're standing in a pose like this is to give the pelvis, particularly the left pelvis, a downward trajectory towards the earth, and to give that same part of the lower back on the left side an upward lifted feeling. Last two. So the shoulders, they don't have to lift. It's just the spine going up. Last breath in. On an exhale, make a big circle with your arms to the floor. Step into a plank position as you inhale. The forearms hug in as you go to down dog on the exhalation. Feel in your body these different asanas and what qualities they bring. As you're ready on the inhale, you're going to come back into plank position. Controlled descent. Exhale, chaturanga. Either upward dog or cobra, your choice. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Okay, now we're going to make the down dog stance a little shorter, so we're going to bring the feet just a few inches closer to the hands. Good. And now what I want you to try to do is to float your right toes a few centimeters off the mat, and then the heel eventually, if you can just bring the entire sole of the right foot just a few centimeters up. Some more than others, I'm sure. Breathe here for 3, 2, and now stretch your right foot down until it comes to the floor. Yeah, and then second side, so the left toes, start with that, and eventually if you can lift even the left heel a few centimeters up, so it's hovering like a little spaceship. Try your best to keep the feet in line with each other. And really, this action is happening from your lower belly and also from the QL muscle. Last 2. And 1. You're going to set the foot down, and we're going to go to the right side again, lifting the right toes, maybe the heel up. Okay. Now you're going to look up, and you're going to bring, with your right leg straight, the right foot as far forward between your hands without touching the ground as you can. So not everybody will be able to go all the way. And then release. Good job. Okay, second side. So try to draw the energy of the left toes and heel up. Look forward and see how far you can with both legs being straight. Bring the foot towards your hands and release. Downward facing dog. You can walk the feet all the way back to a normal position. Good job. As you inhale, feel the hips being pulled backwards. Look forward, exhale, bend your knees, and either march, walk, or jump. Elongate fully, inhale, and exhale, Uttanasana. Good. Now we're going to come into Malasana. It's a squat position. Yes, so you can take the feet apart. You don't have to. You can keep the feet together if that's available. And just lower your hips back and down as close to the heels as possible. If you have any problems with your knees, I recommend using a block under the hips like this, and that should take the pressure off your knees. Good. So take a few moments here. The two sides of the lumbar have an opportunity here to receive space. The weight of the hips pulling down, and the strength of your spine growing taller. Last 3. Any position with the arms, hands is fine. 2, last breath. And release your hands to the ground, head down, hips up, Uttanasana. Good. You can bring your feet in just a few centimeters closer so they're a little larger than your hips distance. And now hold your big toes for Parangushtasana. Inhale as the sides of the spine elongate forward. Exhale as you release crown of the head straight down. Moving the abdomen towards as close to the tops of the thighs as possible. Last 3, 2, 1. Elongate fully. Inhale. Change for Padahastasana. Slide the hands all the way, toes to wrists. Again, elongate. One breath, inhale. Exhale all the way down. Feel free to bend the knees if you need to. No worries. Just yoga. Last 3, 2, 1. Lift the gaze, inhale. Exhale, hands to your hips. Stand as you inhale, vertical. And release your arms down. Okay, now we're gonna step open the feet to the right about 70 centimeters and turn your feet parallel facing the right edge of your mat. We're going to practice triangle pose. So for those of you who know it's useful to have blocks, you can place blocks behind your heels. When you're ready, float the arms parallel. Turn the left toes towards the right toes at 15 degrees, and now turn the entire right foot and leg open 90 degrees. Standing in this position, especially if you have any kind of hamstring things going on, can be equally as good as the actual pose itself. Ground down the inside of your heels so that your outer ankle doesn't get that puffy effect, and draw the legs up. So this energy of the legs coming up is what's actually going to keep us from doing what we don't want to do. So let's show what we don't want. We don't want this waist exploding forward. So this side of the spine on the back leg is compressed. So use your abdominal strength on the right side. Okay, keep that engagement. And now we're going to turn in a very specific way just the pelvis towards the back heel. The arm will come straight down. It's not going to go forward like a jeté or something. Okay. The idea is that the pelvis will shift. So the right pelvis shifts towards the left heel. And the right obliques at the same time can lift and engage, pushing the left spine up. So the ribs and the waist are equal. Last 3. Very good. Nice improvement. 2, gaze down first, inhale, come up, take a moment, lower your arms, and bring your feet to a parallel position. Okay, when you're ready, lift your arms parallel again. Turn your right toes in at about a 15 degrees angle. Turn your entire left leg open. Okay, so we won't go through the whole do's and don'ts, just take a moment to feel in your body. The left obliques are toned, engaged. Now, without losing that feeling of the ribs and obliques being toned, shift your pelvis, the left hip, towards the back right heel. And bring the hand down. So wherever it comes, the block or tibia, eventually, one day you're holding the big toe. So it's a big movement in the pelvis shifting and a complementary lift and engagement in the bottom left waist. Breathe towards the top right waist as much as you can. Last 3. Oh yeah, that's much better. This down, this up. 2. Good job. And 1. Come up, both arms parallel for an inhale. Turn your feet parallel, and then lower your arms down as you exhale. Okay, now we're going to practice from the side, half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. So again, if you need a block, I would place the block about 12 inches in front of the right foot, and the left block 12 inches, or in America, 1 foot. When you're ready, open your arms parallel. Turn your left toes in about 15 degrees. So we start with triangle pose. Turn your entire right leg open. So again, we're not just leaning forward through the right waist, but instead you're creating a nice toned right waist. On the exhale, what you're going to do is you're going to start to shift your hips reaching towards the front foot. And then at some point, you're just gonna bend your knee, bring your hand towards that block, and come up with the back leg. You can keep the right knee bent, and you can just place your fingertips on the block. And give yourself a moment to feel, again, the breath, the movement of the upper left waist towards the ceiling, as well as the underside of your left leg, so the upper inner left thigh presses towards the ceiling. And now use that, if you can, the feeling of not letting the right waist go down, to turn the right side of your navel towards the ceiling. Last two, there it is, very good. Now bend your right knee, tracking with the center of the foot, hold the block, and you're gonna stay in the bent knee as you step back with your left foot to triangle pose. Now bring the block in line with your heel and take a few breaths in triangle pose. Yes. So see if you can, exactly, good. You're really understanding this now. You're feeling that the waist and the ribs on the left side are even. Last two. Look down. And one. Come all the way up as you inhale. For a moment, just let your arms rest down, feet parallel. Okay, second side, taking your arms out. Bring the right toes in at 15 degrees. Turn your entire left leg open. Very good. Nice. So, as you stretch your arms out, right, you're giving that back arm, the right side of your waist, more movement towards the back of the mat. And you're going to start to shift your pelvis, the left hip towards the right heel. Now bend your left knee, large bend in the knee. Reach towards the block and step off your back foot. Very good. You can use the block or not, your choice. Okay. Creating a little bit more lift in the top right waist. Inner right thigh presses up towards the ceiling. The left obliques, as they engage in lift, you're going to use that now to turn your navel towards the ceiling. Then eventually your sternum chest towards the ceiling. Last two. Very good. Start to bend the left knee. Use the block and go slowly. Reach way back with your right foot as you return into triangle pose. Bring the block in line with your left foot, and then when you're ready, finish the pose. Take the arm up and breathe. Good. The more you can shift the pelvis and the mobility of the pelvis improves, the lower the hand will go, and eventually one day you won't need the block. Look down, and as you inhale, come all the way up into a vertical position. Feel your body as you release your arms down at your sides. Turn your feet parallel. Good. And then step to the front of the mat, Samastitihi Tadasana. Mati used to say that if you understand triangle, then that means you're an advanced student. If you don't understand triangle, you have a little more work to do. Let's take it here into a sun A. Inhale, arms up, stretch your spine. Open your arms, take a large downward motion towards the earth. Inhale, lift up halfway. As you exhale, march back to the top push-up position. Take one breath here in plank, downward facing dog as you exhale. Inhale, come into plank pose. Either lower all the way to the ground or hover in chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or urdhva mukha. Exhale, adho mukha. Okay. Now, we are going to take a little variation. So as you inhale, you're going to come forward into plank. You're going to lower all the way down onto the earth. Okay, now you can point your toes behind you. Take your left arm way forward, and you're going to turn your palm open towards the ceiling. Now, roll onto your outer left hip, and you're going to bring your left hand now under the side of your head, so you're supporting yourself, your left hand. There you go, just like you're watching TV. Okay, good. So now, in this position, it's going to feel a little bit difficult to keep the lift in top waist. Yeah, slightly. a feeling of the bottom left obliques doing what they were doing when they were the bottom waist triangle pose. Okay, now you're going to bend your right knee towards your chest, and with your first two fingers, you're going to reach and hold the big toe, or if the big toe is not available, use a belt, either a yoga belt or from your closet, and just lasso the foot. You can keep the knee bent to your chest. So bring the arm this way this time. Yeah. So if the knee is coming towards your chest, it means that the sacrum and the pelvis are rotating away from the lumbar towards the knee, bringing the knee towards you. Now you're going to open the knee into external rotation towards the ceiling like you did in tree pose, and then you're going to start to slowly take the leg up. And please be gentle, it may not go all the way to a full straight position. As much as you can, breathe, lift into the right side of your waist. Move the right hip away from the lumbar and see if you can now use the strength of the muscles in your pelvic floor to push the right leg up towards the ceiling. Last 3. Push the leg as high as you can into the belt or the big toe, into your fingers. 2. And release. Very good. Chris, I think I'm just going to have you turn so that your head is on the opposite side now. That way you're not facing me, but you can still face the camera. Okay, if you're at home, you're just going to roll over on your belly. Good. Take your right arm out, turn the palm, and bring your right hand to give you a little bit of a support for your neck. You can roll onto your hip. Okay. Fluffy through the top waist, contracted in the bottom waist, and move your legs back a little bit more. There you go. So you're going to find a little element of balance here. Challenge for balance. Okay, now when you're ready, you're just going to bring your top leg knee towards your chest, so your left knee towards your chest, and you're going to reach and you're going to hold the big toe or use a belt. It's never elegant when you're using the props for the first time. It gets better the more you practice certain asanas. As the top left hip is in backward rotation, so it's bringing the knee, the leg into flexion, your knee comes towards your chest first. Okay, see if you can keep that feeling of the hip moving away from your lower back, and you're going to open the knee into external rotation, just like you did tree pose. Now, if you prefer, stay bent leg, or you can start to straighten the leg, pushing the thigh bone up, like it's jumping out of the hip socket. So you're using the gemelli and the obturator muscles. Last 3. Push the leg like a rocket towards space. 2. Very good. And release completely. You can ditch the belt if you're using it. You're going to come onto your belly, so if you want to turn back around. For those of you at home, you're coming into a preparation for cobra. So as you inhale, engage the spine, so the skull is the first thing to lift. The sacrum releases away from the lumbar. Stay or upward facing dog from here. On the inhalation, you push the earth away. Downward facing dog, exhale. Okay. Now from here, you're going to look up. Okay, and you're going to bring your right knee to touch your right tricep and then shift into a plank position. Okay, some of you are going to stay with plank. Others are going to try coming down with bent elbows to chaturanga. So the back foot stays on the ground. The knee slides to the outside of your arm above the elbow. You're going to hold here if you can with both shoulders down away from the ears and the right hip away, yes, from the low back. Last 2, downward facing dog. Good work. Okay, second side. You're going to look up, place your left knee higher than your left elbow on your tricep, and shift into a plank position. Some need to stay here or bring the back knee down. Others can challenge by bending the elbows. Shoulder blades away from the ears. Right hip, or left hip, away from the low back. Last 2. And directly into downward facing dog. Good job. Okay. Take a breath in. Open your mouth, let it go. Okay. Now we're going to try Kundanyasana 2. Okay. Some of you are again going to do the modification. Okay, let's show the modification, Chris. So come onto the hands and knees. So if you need to modify this pose, it would be by bringing the back knee down or keeping the back toes down. So what Chris is going to show here is his left knee is going to stay on the ground, but you can stay with the toes tucked. Yeah, like that. Now the right knee is going to come out to the side like we practiced before. And you're going to bring the knee towards the tricep. That's it. Now you can try from here to bend the elbows, keeping the back knee and toes on the ground. Ideally, the two shoulder blades are moving away from the ears, last two, and you're doing a very good job at keeping the left hip away from the lumbar or right hip away from the lumbar. And then you're going to go back, tabletop position. Okay, let's just do the other side. That way you get to even out. So the modification is the back knee and toes on the ground. So the left leg is going to come up, out to the side and to the tricep. Stay with the arms straight or bend the elbows, shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, come back up and release. Okay, so you guys at home are going to practice that modification a second time, okay, as we move into the full pose with the back leg straight. Okay, when you're ready, downward facing dog. Look up, bring your right knee to your right tricep, bend the elbows, and an option, if you want to, is to lift the back foot a few centimeters for 3, 2, and try to go to down dog, bringing the back toes and then the front toes down and go all the way quietly back. Very good. If you're at home and you need a break, take a break. Otherwise, we continue. Look up, bring your left knee to left tricep, bend the elbows. Very beautiful. It's a floating triangle pose. Back toes down and downward facing dog. And from here, child's pose. If you stuck with us, definitely give yourself a moment to assimilate and breathe. Arm balances are helping us to understand how to leverage and balance. But also, it's just really about putting those fundamental poses, such as triangle pose, into a different framework. So gravity is going to do something different to you when you're standing on your hands versus your feet. And this is something that we can help our interest of the basic poses through the longevity of our practice to stay at its peak, right? Because these standing poses, really, they form the basis of all the other asanas. So when you're ready, Chris, and at home, come back and join us. You're going to lie down on your back. And we're going to do a supported bridge pose for a couple moments just to release. So this would be a counter posture for the back, for the arm balance. With all the external rotation, this is going to bring you back to a neutral place. And also, with all of that hip stretching, we're going to benefit now at getting the hips really nice and high. Those of you at home who find the supported bridge pose to be exactly what you need today, I'm going to encourage you to stay with it. Chris and I are going to remove the block now, and he's going to do dynamic bridge pose, interlacing his hands. Okay. There is a feeling in bridge pose eventually that your ankles are drawing back towards your hands. And if you have a belt around your ankles, for those of you who are lucky enough to have a belt nearby, you can put it around the ankles and use your hands to pull the ankles back and to give you that little feeling of the Pada Bandha. So that's the talocalcaneus navicular joint. It actually creates a spring, an upwelling of energy through the bones of the foot that help us to maintain this height in the pelvis. Last 2. You're not pushing the ankles forward. And release your hips. Release the belt if you took this little variation. Let's do feet on blocks again, since that was a very successful thing on Saturday. Got lots of messages after that practice. People loving the blocks. If you don't have blocks, go to your closet and pick out your biggest platform shoes. Okay, so you can do bridge pose with your feet on the blocks. You don't have to continue all the way with us into Urdhva Dhanurasana, but Chris is going to rotate his shoulders all the way up over, bending the elbows and organizing the hands by the sides of the head. Step one is to ground your feet and to get the hips to lift as high as possible. As the hips lift and pull forward, that's going to help you to come up more easily onto the crown of your head. Think tripod headstand here. The inner shoulders lift, then you engage the hips, the spine, the legs, and you come all the way up. You don't have to if it's not necessary. Last 3. Very good. 2. Chin to chest. Lower gently with control onto the shoulders. Take a moment, pause. So this is basically the exact opposite of everything that we've done today. So we are cultivating counter posing here. Okay, one more time. So if it's too much for you, stay with bridge pose. Otherwise, rotate the hands, prepare Urdhva Dhanurasana. Press into your feet equally and press your hips up. Keeping the height of the hips, engage the spine, and when you're ready, top of the head. Drawing the inner shoulders up, the forearms in, you might begin to elevate your head when you feel ready. So the hips are the highest piece of the puzzle. Press your feet down and get those hips up, up, up. Last 2. And now bring the chin all the way towards your chest. Lower your shoulders, lower down. And we can, yes, remove the blocks. And you can take a moment and hug your knees towards your chest. Why not? So when we move so dramatically in one direction, like those external rotations with lateral flexion, it's nice to do some just straightforward extension and flexion, like back bends and forward bends after. So back bends would be extension in the spine, and then something like a crunch would be a good way to flex and to reestablish engagement in the spine. So go ahead and take your hands behind your head in the crocodile breathing position. Okay. You're going to bring your legs into what looks like a fallen chair. Okay. And just with the exhale, you're going to lift your shoulder blades to hover up off the ground. And as you inhale, back down. So super simple crunches. Exhale the shoulders straight up. Inhale down. 3 more. Exhale up. Inhale down. Exhale up. Inhale down. One more time. Exhale up. Inhale down. Now, you're going to take your legs vertical position, lower the legs at an angle, so if you can 45 less will make it a little easier, and then you're going to do 5 like this. As you exhale, lift the shoulders, inhale down. If it's too easy, lower the legs more. Exhale, lift up, and inhale down. 3 more. Exhale up, inhale down. 2 more. Exhale up, inhale down. Last one. Exhale up. And inhale down. Now recollect your knees to your chest. Give yourself a little forward back momentum, and you're going to rock all the way up to seated when you're ready. Okay, we're going back to cross-legged position. So I oftentimes think like a cushion or a pillow can sometimes be nicer when we're doing forward fold. If you're using the block, those corners just don't really agree with the outer hamstrings, I feel. Okay, and then when you're ready, take your arms over your head. So this just gives our spine an opportunity to push up as gravity pushes it down. And then on the exhalation, you're going to start to move forward, stay as long as you can, and then release your hands in a comfortable position. Okay. So this is, again, helping to counter the back bending postures, but as well as the lateral flexion that we did in all of those different triangle variations. Last 3. 2. And 1. Inhale, come all the way up. You're going to change the cross. Reach your arms up again. So this is just to get a little extra length. And then as you exhale, take what you get. Bring it with you. For all of us, there's one part of the spine that dislikes movement, and then there's a part above it or below it which does all the movement. So that's why it's great to work with a teacher who can see your spine and to help you, because you can't see it, the areas that don't move. Gaining mobility in those areas then helps the area that moves a lot to stabilize. So we create longevity in our bodies and in our practice. Last 2 breaths. And you're going to come all the way up. Paschimottanasana. Straighten your legs out in front of you. Flexed feet. Okay, and then you're going to bring your arms up over your head just like you did before. So we're giving our spine a certain amount of length. Anything is great. Any amount is an improvement. And then when you're ready, bring your abdomen towards the tops of your thighs, chest towards your knees, feet, hands, or strap. And you can also bend your knees here. So for those of you who are very tight in your hamstrings, let your spine achieve release here by bending your knees. For those of you who are just a little bit tight in your hamstrings, you can pull up on the knees and descend the thighs and use that to safeguard the hamstrings. And drop this down into your body a little bit. So opposite way with your head up, and this down. Yes. Feel the difference? Okay, that's your hamstrings. Last 2. Good job. And 1. As you inhale, come all the way up. Last pose is Baddha Konasana. Feet come together, knees in a diamond shape. There's all kinds of variations, but today we're going to do the variation bringing the heels close to you, wrapping your hands around the baby toes. Okay, taking a moment again just to feel the spine engage and lift up, and then as you exhale, your belly comes towards your heels. Your heart eventually towards your toes. But again, Chris, can we show what we don't want? Yeah, we don't want to just drop the head and round the back because it's so boring. You're never going to maintain an interest in yoga by doing it that way. Really, the interesting thing about yoga is discovering in your body the little areas where we avoid getting movement and range of motion. These are the areas that need to be woken up, so we don't want to stay asleep. Last 2 breaths. Yes. Doesn't matter how long it takes. It's a process regardless. Good, and then with an engaged spine, elongate, come all the way up. And use your hands now to assist your legs so that way your inner thighs can stay soft. And you're going to make your way onto your backs. So if you at home are craving a shoulder stand or headstand or something like that, you should just take that on your own. Okay, we are going to set up Shavasana, and we're going to do it with a little cushioning underneath the legs. So you can go ahead and take your legs out, let your feet turn open a bit. Then any position where your hands can be comfortable. And we're just going to take a few rounds of breath before we completely let go. So we're going to do Viloma breathing. So where you are, just take a natural inhale, exhale. And then you're going to take a very long, graceful inhale and hold the breath in at the top. And after a moment pause, you're going to only exhale half the amount of breath out. And pause and feel what that's like. And then continue and exhale the remaining breath all the way till its end. Inhale a long, graceful breath in. Feel the fullness. Exhale only halfway. Exhale the remaining breath all the way from the sides of the ribs hugging you. Inhale. Pause. Exhale half. All the way, continuous exhalation. Inhale. This time just exhale 1/3. Second third. All the remaining breath completely out. Inhale. Just 1/3 as you exhale. Second third. All the remaining breath completely out. Last time, inhale, biggest breath you can. Exhale 1/3. Second third. Remaining breath all the way out. Very good. Take a big inhale. Open your mouth. Let your body, your mind, your practice rest. Begin to just breathe a little more deeply. Wiggle your fingers, your toes. Whenever you're ready, stretch your arms, elongate. And if you're using a cushion like we are, you can bend your knees with your feet on top. Or just set your feet on the ground if you're not using a cushion. And then when you're ready, bring the knees close to your chest and give yourself a little hug. Turn to your side and take your time. When you're ready, you can come up and join us in a seated posture. So, you want to sit on this? Yeah, good. So with a nice elongated spine, relaxed shoulders, unclenched jaw, bring your hands to Anjali Mudra. And thank yourself for practicing yoga. Bring your head up, open your eyes. Namaste.